had a whole work thing where I was trying to figure out a problem, and I signed out of everything. So it's nice. Now I'm doing it again.
Yeah.
Signing in.
Did you try unplugging it and plugging it back in again?
I did that first, yeah.
Okay.
That's step one.
Good.
Direct from IT. Hey, did you unplug that yet?
Yeah, that's the most important step when it comes to
Heck yeah, it is.
stuff.
Okay, well, are we starting? Did you already start recording like 5 minutes ago?
Not 5, but, a minute or two ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can start talking then.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm going to end up clearing my throat.
Clear your throat into the mic every time.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. If I'm still like getting over that sickness, or now it's allergies, or maybe I have a new sickness. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what's going on? The thing I was going to do is look at my phone to see what I sent you about today. Yeah, okay, that's it. So, you requested that I talk about this thing first because I know it's so important to you.
Yes, yeah. Number one, top priority.
Yeah. It was actually a Jesse suggestion, is that we talk about the recall on the Toyota 3.5 twin turbo. I guess it's the iForce. Yeah, it's the iForce. And I don't know if it's specifically the iForce Max or just the iForce. I'm not sure. The Max is the hybrid one. But they recalled a bunch of trucks and Lexus LX product over severe engine problems, basically. What they're saying is that they think that there's a manufacturing issue that is somehow leaving like debris in the block. And so what's going on is these things are blown up, essentially. So the short block gets replaced under recall. I think that Jesse's implication, and I'm sorry, Jesse, to put words in your mouth, is that he is an adamant things are too complicated in new vehicles. That's why they're breaking person. And I don't think he's completely wrong, because part of the conversation on this that I've seen, like a few articles that I've looked through, and I haven't like done a full dive on it. I've just looked a little bit. But there's some talk about maybe it being pressure related as well. So like they run, I think, relatively high boost. So a little bit of problem plus a little bit more, strain than a naturally aspirated, V8 maybe would have had in the past. And those two things kind of come into it. I do think it's important to say, and I almost said it when we were talking about the Cybertruck, and I don't want to be like the apologist for the Cybertruck ever, because I think it's so stupid, but there was some talk about some recall with that, and
they recalled all of them.
Yeah.
Granted, there wasn't that many out.
Yeah, exactly.
But
See,
they recalled.
It's small. It's probably less than these. But the thing about recalls is that they happen, and they happen a lot. And so I think it's always important, like, to kind of pull back and remember it's the manufacturer taking fault for some sort of flaw that they're trying to fix. So like the fact that even the Cybertruck really got recalled for these, for this accelerator pedal issue or whatever, like that is technically them saying, whoop, we got to fix that. Let's get it back. And depending on the level, there's all sorts of different things. And Luke would be the one to talk about this with. But I think that like this sucks. And it's really not a great look for Toyota, because Toyota is so, they've got such a reputation about reliability, and it's a big staple of what they do. So it does suck, and it's a bit of a stain. But also, like, I think if you just started Googling recall and whatever brand you look at, you'd probably find a lot more that you just didn't realize happened or you forgot about or whatever. So like, who knows? Like, is it a huge issue that's going to end up being all of them? I doubt it. Is it a certain section of VIN that some manufacturing process got changed at some point? Probably. Is it overall because it's more complicated? I don't know if I agree with that. I think it's possible, and I think that it's, it is something that is worth consideration. So to give Jesse that point, like, I think that there is some consideration there that makes sense. But overwhelmingly, I think I said this either on the podcast or just in our text message thread or something, like, we're at a spot in modern vehicle technology where the average vehicle is significantly more efficient than it used to be.
Mm-hmm.
It's significantly more power than it used to be. It's
Yeah.
probably lighter than it used to be. And yeah, it's more complex. There are more complexities there, but we're also talking about direct injection and turbochargers a lot of the times. We're not talking about like, Atkinson cycle is a thing, but like we're not talking about rotaries, right? It's not like some space age weird
Maybe we
thing.
should be, though.
Maybe we should be. We're talking about kind of tried and true technologies, and yeah, hybrid is a thing that is different right now, but it's worked out and it's been around for a while, and I don't think that's necessarily the issue, right? Like, so when someone complains about new Tundra, this is going to be me on my soapbox for something. There's a second. When somebody says, I can't believe the new Tundra is this. I can't believe the new Tacoma has a hybrid 4-cylinder for its highest power option. I can't believe that. Why doesn't it have a V6 anymore? Well, do you want an efficient, fast vehicle, or do you want something that sounds different than a 4-cylinder? I don't understand that, that thing necessarily. And it has it because things need to get more efficient and people want more power. I mean, like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why. And I don't think that like we're headed into this direction where that new Tacoma, for example, like sure, there's going to be a recall on it for something. I guarantee it because it's a brand new first year vehicle, but we all know it's going to be around for 10
Mm-hmm.
at a minimum. And during those 10 years, they're going to sell 1 million of them or whatever. And it's going to be probably reliable for a long time. Will it run 300,000 miles? I have no idea, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot of them with some miles on them.
Yeah, I'm curious, and I wanted to Google it, but like, I mean, every vehicle has had some level of a recall.
Mm-hmm.
I highly doubt that there is a vehicle on the road, or not on the road because it's broken, that hasn't had some kind of recall. I think that the big hullabaloo, if I want to use my vocabulary words,
That's a big one.
yeah, about it is that it's kind of like it's a catastrophic failure type recall, which is a lot different than, I mean, not to bring it up again because it's the Cybertruck, other than, a software, because, pedal issue, like it's, or like Jeep had airbag recalls and things like that. Like that's, granted, it would not be pleasant to have an airbag just randomly fucking go off when you're driving, but
not at all.
But comparatively to, needing an entirely new engine, that, one is up here, the other is down here. So
I see that. Yeah, I see that point. I think that you're right in a way that like that is, it's dramatic, right? Like airbags are one thing because they're safety, and so that, the Takata thing happened years ago, and like there's some things like that have popped up, or like Toyota had the floor mat thing that was like, that was a big deal. And when I first saw it, I was like, this is so stupid. And then as it started to roll out and there were more and more, folds of it for a while, I was just like, that was funny. That's almost a pun, but not really.
Yeah, pretty close.
I was like,
I saw where you were going though. Folding mat. Yeah.
It is kind of serious like that, because your average person, like that might just not be a thing that's on their radar. I mean, I definitely 100% have had a mat get stuck in my pedals before. I don't even want to admit that, but it definitely has happened to me.
Yeah.
So,
well, and even to harken back to I believe it was the early 90s, Audi had unintended acceleration recalls because the throttle was sticking. Yep. And people were rear-ending people because the car would just keep going. So, and that wasn't a mat. That was something else. I don't remember what it was exactly, but that's a relatively serious one too, because if you're wrecking your car due to the fact that this thing has failed,
that's a problem.
That's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess I should full backtrack. Like, I think that it sucks, and I think that it's going to be a stain on Toyota, and they're going to have to dig themselves out of it, and I think they probably will because they're huge, and they'll figure it out, right? But I just want to make the point that it happens all the time, and it happens... I think we're in a spot where, like anything in the world, like there's a lot of sensationalism around news, and I think that's a prime example of that, and it happens all over. Like there's... The Cybertruck one is a perfect example, right? And I use that example, I think, because everybody hates it or loves it. There's like no middle ground on it for the most part, or they don't know what it is, which is probably the best way to be at this point. Yeah, exactly. But because of that, it's so polarized and it's sensationalized. So when the recall thing comes out, you got 50% of the people saying, I can't believe it, that thing's such a piece of shit. And then the other 50% of the people saying, but Toyota had the same thing, you know. And so it's like it becomes this big ordeal. So.
Yeah, at least it's very early on in this new version of the truck. So it should be something that they will be able to iron out before, you know, there's
more problems.
Millions of them on the road.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be lower level numbers of them. Granted, it's quite the headache for the owners to deal with and the dealership, I guess. But not that we care too much about the dealership's problem, but you know,
the dealership is going to be okay, or at least the dealership's employees are going to be okay off of that one.
But yeah, I don't see a reason to get super like haha, you know, about it, super Nelson-y. But I mean, like, in the same sense, recalls are kind of funny because if you look at it at that aspect of, like you said, like they have this reputation, and so now it's like, how about that reputation, huh?
Yeah,
it's like this the same thing. Like I put a comment in somebody's post that they were doing some modifications or something to a Cybertruck. And it was right around the recall, and I put on there just recalled, and man, people were upset, like so mad, and they're blowing it up, and they're like, you should see how many Toyotas are recalled and blah 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 and all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, okay, everything gets recalled, but there's how is it not funny to you that every vehicle that they have sent out into the world got recalled?
Yeah, that's pretty big.
That's funny. I don't care who it is. I don't care what manufacturer it is. If 100% of the vehicles that you've sent out into the world need a recall, like that's pretty funny.
Yeah, again, for sticking accelerator pedal, which is not great.
Yeah,
but you know, I mean, like I spoke my piece with that. I don't want to talk about. I don't want to defend the stupid thing anymore because it's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think my other part of that point really is just that, like, I don't think it's unnecessarily complicated. I will fight that one to the death. I think it is more complicated than the last Tundra.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know about you, but if you've ever driven a 5.7 powered Tundra, it is like the least inspiring thing you will ever drive. It's fine, just like a 100 series Land Cruiser is, or a stock 80 series or whatever. Like, it's fine. That's all it is. It's just fine. And these trucks, they've got a little bit more pep. That V6 is really good as far as just driving. Mm-hmm. You know, it is what it is. People are going to not like it because it's new and different, and that's fine. That's their prerogative. That's okay. I mean, we're just not going backwards. I think that's like sometimes my point. It's like, it's just not, it does not make any sense to go backwards at this point. No one's going to be like, you know what we should do is go back to that. We shouldn't even go to the 5.7 I-Force.
Let's put a flathead in it.
Let's put a flathead. You know what we need is an old small block Chevy in that thing.
Yeah.
I said that's the point that I made. Actually, I made this message when we were all talking about this and didn't send it. I just realized.
Oh, wow. You typed and thought again.
I did. And now I'm going to say it on the air.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm going to...
For more than just our group to hear.
For tens of people to hear. Mm-hmm. The comment that I had was like, you know, all of these things evolve, and it like the suggestion, or not the suggestion, the example that I was going to use was Chevy Quadrajet to throttle body injection, TPI, the tune port injection, to now. to an LS engine to direct injection. Like, I don't think anybody can straight face tell you that you should go back to TBI or a carburetor. Carburetor's fine on the right application. It's fine, whatever. But like, it's just not better. It's like they spend millions and millions of dollars to get better.
Yep.
And it gets better as you go. So yeah, first year might not be more better. It'll be better, but as you go through it.
Could have its complications because again, it's something entirely new.
Mm-hmm.
It's they haven't used this yet.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, direct injection in 2-liter turbo Volkswagens, right? Since it's just the two of us. Oh, I never said welcome to the Campfire Passport podcast. Now that we're talking about Volkswagens.
Wow, man, that's going to be the longest intro ever.
What is that, like 15 minutes
16 minutes in, yeah.
Nice. But Volkswagen did this where they went high pressure direct injection, the first generation of it. They had issues. The fuel pump was an issue. And after that, less of an issue, as they go along. So, but it's still better than a 1.8 turbo. It was still better in pretty much every way. So, I don't know. I get the nostalgia of having older things. And I also make these arguments knowing that I drive a 90s vehicle with a 2000s engine and a 62 Volkswagen. Like, those are my cars.
Yeah.
So I got a carburetor. I've got all these things. But I just will never, like, if someone said, hey, your car would run a lot better if there was a modern fuel injection system. Yeah, of course it would. It has an electric choke, so it's pretty great.
Yeah, that's well on its way.
But yeah, it's like that. It's not gonna be better. It would be, Anyways, that's the soapbox. I don't want to rant too hard. I've already gone this far.
Yeah. All right.
I didn't make my point, by the way, which was I don't remember the quadrijet throttle body injection to regular fuel injection thing. I don't even remember how I actually put that all together.
That's too bad.
I don't know.
So now you'll never get it out.
Probably not. I did come up with another interesting thing while I was looking at this, because we were talking about at the beginning of this conversation recalls for all these different vehicles. So I just Googled a couple just to kind of see, and I thought, I'll just look at Colorado. That'll be interesting because you've got one, right?
I'm sure
there's a bunch, and there's a bunch of different things. Nothing that I was like, oh my god.
Main one's the transmission, I'm sure.
There's like just some like there's some lug nut stuff on the new one, which I'm like, okay.
The brand new one.
Yeah. A lot of it's the brand new one, which makes sense, right? Like, that'd be the easiest thing
because it just came out. So,
but the most interesting thing is, remember how we had the conversation about the Fastline guys and that broken Tacoma?
Mm-hmm.
I don't follow their stuff very often. I do see it, and I watch probably 4 videos a year of theirs. They do really good content. It's really long form, and I think, like we talked about this before, they're maybe not the crowd that I'm listening to always, but they have a purpose and a lot of followers. They have a video from September that is, my new Chevy Colorado is bricked and won't move. Here's why. And I can't believe that didn't come up when we were talking about the broken Tacoma. And I haven't watched it, so I have no idea. It could be nothing.
I mean, could be the YouTube sensationalism.
Oh, it's 100% YouTube sensationalism.
A lot of the case on that, just like it was with the Tacoma. So, it's gonna.
Oh my god, I can't hit the mute.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, jeez.
Man.
It's 2 in a row.
Yeah, now we can't monetize this episode.
Dang it. Well, that being said, maybe everybody should just buy some more merch. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean.
Just buy some merch.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Did you have a vehicle to share? Or
I did. I found one that's a little out of the box. But makes sense. If it kind of fits, I sent you the link in your email. So I
remember when I
could have waved you down on that one, but
remember when we started this whole conversation and I said I logged out everything on my computer and I haven't logged back into everything.
Mm-hmm.
My email is one of those, and I tried to do it a minute ago, and it turns out I don't know the password to my email.
Oh, that's good. Did you try unplugging it and plugging it back in again?
Let me try to unplug that password.
Unplug your email and then plug it back in.
Interesting. All right, so Colin has shown the all-electric Wagoneer S Trailhawk concept and launch edition. I'm going to send this to myself so I can see it bigger.
There you go.
I need full eyes.
Yeah. Got to widescreen that thing.
It is hilarious how much bigger your monitor is than mine, by the way, sitting here.
Yeah, it's a big laptop.
Yeah. Mine's sufficient. It gets the job done.
It gets the job done, yeah. It's not not the size, it's how you use it.
Well, first thing, there's two pieces to this, because I actually saw one article about this vehicle already.
Okay.
The first one is it looks like an oversized new Cherokee, which is not new anymore, whatever the last Cherokee.
When they brought the Cherokee back.
Yeah,
yes.
Looks like a giant version of that.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is I'm very confused that this Wagoneer exists and then the other square Wagoneer also exists. I know this is a concept, but as far as I can tell, they're also putting out like new concepts with the square one too. So I can't decipher, and I haven't paid enough attention to know if this round ugly Cherokee thing is the same as the ugly square thing, or if the Wagoneer S is a different thing. Do you know? I have no idea.
I don't know for sure, but but like you're saying, yes, it obviously is something different, and I don't know. It'd be great if Luke could show up, because he'd probably be able to tell us what's going on here.
Luke.
But yeah, from the looks of things, it's more Grand Cherokee sized, which it makes me curious of. Is this like when they did they had an XJ that was the Wagoneer, but it was an XJ Wagoneer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to say they did it for the ZJ also. They had wood. I know there's wood paneled ones. Were they called Wagoneers though? Maybe. They might have been. I can't remember exactly for sure, but I'm not that deep in the Jeep world. But that might be kind of the background idea behind it, because when you scroll all the way down to the bottom, the Wagoneer S launch edition,
it's much squarer.
It's different from even this Trailhawk thing is. So
I think it's the same body. It just looks different because the bumpers. Yeah. I don't know.
Man, the other one looks smaller, but
I don't know. Well, okay, so let me say this then. First off, okay. I did say it was ugly because I think it's kind of ugly. But the more that I look at this page, the more that I think it looks better than the current Wagoneer. Which,
okay,
the inside of them is very nice. Mm-hmm. And it has a big V8. And that's about what I can say that I really like about them.
Okay.
They're ugly. Like, they're not the ugliest car ever, but that window size thing that they've got going on, the side windows, very weird. Have you ever seen, there's a manufacturer that makes these handicap vans. I can't remember what they're called, but they like take I'm going to say a Grand Caravan. I don't think that's actually what it is, but they take like that and they rebody it, and they do like the platform lift. So it's kind of like body lifted almost. And it's got this platform lift and stuff. And they basically repurpose it so it's its own, different manufacturer. It looks like that. And in the scheme of minivans, this minivan that I'm talking about is not the best looking one. It is like a low volume manufacturer that's trying to do something different, and it's not great. And so the Jeep to me looks like that. This one though, it's cool. I like the green interior. Yeah, I'm a sucker for green interior.
Yeah.
So green on green is cool, and the wheels are kind of cool.
The wheels are like like a rethought out version of the like current, or not current, but last so like during the JK era and stuff, like they had the Rubicons anyway, had wheels that kind of looked
like the center
that
part of that.
Yeah, but then like this is like a jumping off from that. But yeah, the launch edition says 600 horsepower.
Well, all electric, so
yeah.
I look at that and I say, okay, maybe you could compete with an electric Range Rover or something like that with that vehicle based on the size, if the build quality's right. You know, it's American, so people will buy it because of that. It's got a bunch of power. The roofline is kind of sleek and nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, it says 300-mile, offers range of more than 300 miles on a single charge. 600 horsepower, 800 Newton meters. I don't know what that is in freedom torque, but yeah, I don't know. It's one of those divisive deals that's just kind of, and I get it that it's like it's you know, it's a concept, so it's meant to look a little wily compared to what it will actually look like.
Well, interesting enough, I'm trying to see if there's a release date. I think that's almost final form. It is a 2024 model, so it should be out like soon. Sorry. I'm looking at Car and Driver on it, and it is, yeah, you're right, 300 miles or a little more than 300 miles, 600 horsepower, blah, blah, blah. It is smaller than both the regular full Wagoneer and the Cherokee. So it is a completely different vehicle.
So totally different.
Yeah. So that's what I was kind of looking at.
Yeah. Man, that is weird that it would be even smaller than the Cherokee too. But I don't know. I don't know where this falls in the size. I mean, it says vehicle 31.5-inch tires. So pretty small, but it does have a rear locker.
Interesting.
So, I mean, there's that.
On the Trailhawk one?
On the Trailhawk one, yeah.
Huh.
So, I wonder if this is supposed to be like a... remember when Jeep did the Renegade and it was such a outstanding hit, you know? Great little car. I wonder if that is what this is filling.
Yeah.
Where they're not going to do a small, like really small gas SUV. They're just going to replace it with the electric. So there's a Econo box.
I think it's bigger. I mean, okay, so it's $70,000.
Well, it's not much of an economy box anymore.
No, it's going to be out in the fall, by the way.
Okay.
At least the release or the launch edition one. The Trailhawk one is probably behind, and that's probably the concept bit here. But I think based on its size, it is likely. I bet Luke knows this, but it is like, man, we're just gonna keep trying to lean on our friends.
Call him now.
Yeah, let's phone a friend. I think that it's going to be the electric version, essentially, of the Grand Cherokee, and the Grand Cherokee likely stays hybrid and gas, and they don't do a full electric version of it. In fact, I don't want to switch the subject, but I'm going to really quick. That reminds me, I just read an article that Jeep came out and said they're not making an electric Wrangler now for the next generation because they're concerned it's going to taint the brand somehow. But I bet that something like this is going to be their push, right? They do an electric something else,
right?
And they keep the Wrangler
prove that it's viable. Yeah,
maybe they come back with a Cherokee, and the Cherokee is all electric, but the Cherokee is maybe it doesn't have solid axles, but maybe it's like a ton of articulation, 4-wheel independent. Maybe it's quad motor or something cool, whatever. Like that maybe is the direction that they're headed. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to call something a Wagoneer when it's not the Wagoneer. and the Wagoneer is still a thing. Because that was the other thing, was it was like the full-size Jeeps. When there was the XJ Wagoneer, it was when the full-size Wagoneer was getting phased out.
Yeah,
because they only did those to 92, and those XJ Wagoneers were early 80s, so it was like late 80s. I'm sorry, and so it's like there in that transitional period where they're like getting rid of the last of these. Here's the Wagoneer, the new quote Wagoneer. But they're not phasing, unless I'm unaware of something yet again. They're not phasing the new Wagoneer out already.
I mean,
so
do they have to keep it though? Could they just phase it out?
Just phase it out. Maybe this is the sign. They're going to phase it out now.
When they first came out, I was
4 good years.
Yeah.
Get it out of here.
When they first came out, I was like, all right, I don't love the styling, but the inside is very, very nice. And maybe it'll like take enough Tahoe and Suburban sales, right?
It didn't.
No. Like, you just don't see them. Every once in a while you do. But
every here and again, yeah.
But they're not, I mean, and it's because, I don't know if you've been in like a rental one in the last 5 years or whatever, but like new Tahoes are really nice. They work really well. It's like this, why would you need to buy something different?
Well, that's what happens when, a manufacturer sticks to a certain vehicle.
Yeah, for a while.
From all the way at the start to still today. There's been a Suburban since fucking forever.
Yeah, the roadmap is the same.
Yeah.
They're not changing much there.
Jeep could have done that with the Wagoneer.
No.
But they didn't.
They're going to make it 4 different vehicles.
They gave up during the whole, gas crisis, one of the gas crises or whatever. Well, I guess they made it through one gas crisis and then got to the next one and just didn't feel like updating it for some reason.
Somebody there knows better than we do.
Yeah.
I guess.
I'm sure.
All right. Well, I like that you went outside of the box kind of again and picked a new vehicle, because when we were doing the first little like bits of this, we started picking out, like, I was basically thinking about it like a magazine feature. Like, what's a vehicle that I would put on the cover of a magazine? Maybe not the ones that I picked, but like they would be interesting articles inside of that content. But this is neat. This is a little different. The new stuff. So it's a good way to talk about those new things in a different way than we have in the past. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not saying that I wouldn't at some point bring to the table something like that. It's just that something in my internet perusals that kind of, piques the interest ever so slightly, then that's and it's recent enough. That's what I'll bring to the table. All right, cool. There you
go. Sweet. Well, you know what? I got one more thing to talk about that actually is on the Expedition. So first off, you found this on Expedition Portal and shared it, and I think it's worth plugging Expedition Portal just because it's a good site to look at stuff. And I was just peeking through the main site, and it reminded me. Have you seen the Scout pop-up camper?
Let's see. It's on that first page too, isn't it?
It's pretty sick. Like, 4-wheel campers has had that locked down for a while, and there are other pop-up camper manufacturers, but the full interior pop-up is very much 4-wheel camper. Scout obviously has gotten super popular in the last few years. I think that the standard design is silly looking, but functionally I think it works well. People like them. But this is sweet. Like, it's sleek, it's smooth. My one gripe about 4-wheel campers is always that they're like traditional camper material. They're corrugated sides and stuff, which probably makes the actual cost of them pretty, more affordable, and they're probably pretty durable because of it. This is a little bit more, it's modernized. It's not a like GFC type product or an AT or something like that. It's not like the Earth Cruiser ones that were starting to come out, like that's super high tech. It's a nice little in between. It's like,
it's closer. I mean, it's closer to the 4-wheel camper because it is a slide in.
Yep.
Not just a topper.
Yep.
But weight wise, not terrible.
No, 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, about 1,000. That really isn't too bad. I mean, and this is for a mid-size truck, not a full-size truck, which, full-size obviously is going to weigh more than that 1,000 mark. But yeah, I mean, a slide in's a slide in. they don't do a whole lot for me because it's too much.
They're big
when it comes to being able to do certain things that, and I know, not everybody wants to do the types of things that
we do,
that we are doing.
Sure.
But I will say when it comes to a slide in a mid-sized truck, the floor space is not going to be
there's not a lot.
Great. It's going to be a very narrow pathway because they've got these seats in there and then the kitchen thing that's on the side of it. So, I mean, it's going to be narrow in there. It's not.
I don't think you're hanging out in there a whole lot, but I think
only if you have to.
Yeah. I think the interior layout's pretty smart for its size, and it's the one thing I like about these guys. I don't know if you've seen them in person. Did you look at them at Expo last year?
No, because I just have absolutely zero interest in that type of thing.
So. They're nice. Like it doesn't feel like your traditional camper. It feels a little bit more like updated and like built for. I'm going to say some stupid marketing speak because I want to say like built for adventure, but a little bit more built for like functionality. Adventure? Yeah, some sure. Yeah.
Campground. Maybe a gravel road here.
Gravel road for sure. Yeah. I don't know. I thought they were good. It's not for everybody.
I mean,
it's also $30,000.
Obviously, I've seen them. But yeah, like I said, it's another rendition of your standard slide in to me, and so I just completely ignore them because it's just not.
Yeah.
I don't really have any interest in it. But yeah, like I said, starting at 28.
I was going to look really quick what a 4-wheel camper goes for that's similarly equipped, mid-size. Yeah, okay, it starts the same spot.
Yeah, they're about the same.
The Swift is 26.6, and that is the one with an interior. You can get it without an interior for less, $17,900 for the base model, and the Project M, I think, is also that kind of lower price point. So there are cheaper versions, but I think to get something similar, you're going to spend a similar amount of money.
Yeah.
That amount of money for the product, I don't really have like an opinion on because just when I saw the price, I went, okay, I guess it's probably what campers cost. Like I know a nice big Lance slide in is way more than that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So it's not a thing I'm buying, so it doesn't really matter. But I thought it was sleek. That was what I was kind of trying to get on.
It does hold true to their look of the non-pop-up ones that like they do have that like slightly more sleek composited look to them.
A little bit more minimalist than your typical thing. There's not a bunch of stuff hanging off of it.
Yeah.
But man, there's nothing quite like seeing one of those, one of their campers that has the GFC on top of a tall truck, because it looks like they're going to get whacked in an overpass. Like they are big. They're not wide. They're not long. No. But they are tall.
Yeah, very tall, which, brings the question of, how much is that sucker lean or how slow are you doing corners? Because
I will say it's probably so the weight is probably not up there so much. They're probably a lot better off on the higher weight because most of their kitchen stuff is low.
And they are lighter than the standard style. So well,
aesthetically, holy shit.
Yeah, they're kind of obnoxious, ugly looking.
Yeah.
As far as like the shape of them and size of them. What's the other one? The is it the Kimbo?
Oh yeah. That's the one that looks like it looks like it belongs in Joshua Tree or something.
Yeah. I like seeing the silver ones because it like makes me think of like those silver igloos they put out in Antarctica. Like it's like, it's an interesting look. Okay,
they're weird.
Just gonna move on.
I would love to like both. So like the Kimbo one as well, but this Scout one I thought about originally. I was like, I'd love to take one of those through like some serious off-road stuff. Like if I had an opportunity with a vehicle that would fit on it and, unlimited YouTuber moment money or something, it would be fun to just put that through the absolute ringer and try.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you could do it in a scenario where your built Tacoma or Colorado or whatever, like, could be flopped on its side because you get a lot of views and be able to pay for part of it, then it'd be fun to like really say, all right, well, like, how far can you take it?
Yeah.
It's such a pie in the sky idea, but like, if that came onto the internet, I would watch it immediately. I would be like, yes, I want to see that.
Well, I'll give you something in that realm then. Andrew St. Pierre White, 4X Overland, on one of his trips where he came to America, he got a Tundra and a 4-wheel camper, and I believe it was a slide-in, if I'm remembering correctly. It wasn't one of the like flatbed ones. And he went to Death Valley, and he did some of the, known trails out there that there's a couple of,
there's like a couple
harder things. And he did make attempts at utilizing it that way, and it was what turned him off from that idea.
Okay.
Because he thought that it was going to be that perfect line walk of a live-in space that he can work from and doing long form expedition, things like that.
Yeah.
While not sacrificing too much of his off-road capability. And he came to find that it
didn't work out.
It sacrificed too much of his off-road capability. And he's not someone that like...
Yeah, he's not a hardcore off-road guy.
Yeah, real big off-roader. But he's been doing it for so long, he knows, okay, if I can't get up this without a ton of issue, like, it's not going to be great.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to have to check that out. Ooh, that reminds me. Our favorite YouTube, unanimously, 4-wheel drive 24/7, just released their, I was going to say Rubicon Snow Adventure, which kind of is what it is, but it's their North American snow wheeling trip. Yeah. That was a good time. That was fun to watch. The tracked Stellar built rig, I've seen it in person. I'm sure you saw it out here too. And it was very clean, and I was like, whatever, it's on tracks. And I saw like one video of it in the snow a while back, and I think it was actually from his trip, it turns out. But watching it go, it was pretty good. Like,
sure it was from... You didn't see that?
I saw one where he was like on this same trail and went off trail really far and like over some berm thing, and I'm not 100% sure. They could have been scouting it.
But I don't know, because it was just last year he was up here
with it.
And
yeah, maybe it was here.
And he did the where we go out and have gotten Christmas trees the last couple of years. He went and did that loop road in the big snow and took it and did that, because he does a which if people don't know who he is, Dimitri from Stellar Built, who formerly Montero guy. I always will put that out there that he was big time early days Montero guy. He does, like, him and his friends do like a yearly big snow run up here, and they go to is it Olali or is it Odell? I can't remember. But there's like a snow run and there's some yurts up there, and so they like stay in the yurts in the middle of winter in the snow, and they just like do a snow wheel and run out there and stay there for a night or two or whatever, and then come back out.
That's awesome.
I don't know if they're still doing it, but that was a thing that he did quite often, and I remember seeing a lot of stuff around it. But
that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was a good episode. That rig was awesome. They had Shawno's Dirty 30 on 37s.
Yeah.
I thought it might have been on 40s, but I guess it was 37s.
Yeah,
Once you started watching it, it was definitely 37s. And then the thing that you pointed out that was great, they had Jocko with him, which I said to you earlier, if you don't listen, or if you don't watch 24 or 4-wheel drive 24/7, you're not going to get this, but please watch it because it's so worth it. Jocko is like one of my favorite characters now. He's like the most genuinely excited about things, I feel like. He's like ready to have a good time. He understands what's going on. He's a great driver. Like, I think he's fun to watch. But they put him in early 90s. I'm not going to go on the generation because I'm terrible with that, but early 90s Toyota pickup with a 3.4 swap, solid axle stuff. Not tons. I think they were Toyota axles, I'm pretty sure.
I think they were 6 lugs, yeah.
Coilovers and links and all that good stuff. Flatbed?
Yeah.
Yep, flatbed. Or not a tray bed.
It wasn't a tray, it was flat.
Yeah. And they corrected it. He said it was a Hilux, but it's not a Hilux. It's a Toyota pickup because they're in the U.S. And
That's
I thought that was great. As soon as I saw that, I just went, ha!
Yeah, right away. Shano calls it the Hilux, and Jocko corrects him. No, this is a pickup.
Yeah. Here in the States, they call these pickups.
See, Jesse?
And that's
not
what
a Hilux.
It is. It is not a Hilux.
Pickup.
Heard it from the Australians. And that truck is like dual cases, lightweight. I think 37s too.
It was 37s,
yeah. Not super big. They had a JK or a JL on 40s. Mm-hmm. That was sweet looking. But funny, I think maybe they just didn't film it very much. But I was going to make the point when you and I were talking earlier about this that the Toyota did really well being light and geared well. Mm-hmm. And the JL a couple of times I saw struggling and I was kind of surprised. But I think I'm guessing they just didn't show a lot of it because that thing should have just murdered the snow. Like it's the same recipe. It's not the heaviest rig because it's not all weighed down with gear and stuff. I don't know if I don't think it was a 392. It must have been just a regular gas one. I don't know.
I didn't catch.
It didn't
sound like one.
No.
Like when they did have clips of it, but
big amount of tire.
Yeah, but I mean, also as we learned from talking to Chase, when they've got these, at least America trips so far, the ancillary characters don't necessarily get their vehicle featured in the show as much, which proved the case on this as well, because there was that FJ40 that was on 40s and
thing was rad
and crazy, but it was like 2 clips of it. Otherwise, it's just kind of in the background. And they did show the their American JK that's only on 35s a good amount, much more than they showed the Jeep on 40s. So
I guess, I mean, that makes sense, right? It's their vehicle. You're tuning in to watch them. So and for me, I'm watching it because I like the characters and I want to see him. I want to see Shano drive his Australian, 60 series Ute. Like, that's so cool.
That's the point. Yeah.
Yeah. I did laugh and I was sitting there watching it with Lauren and we're, sitting on the couch watching it. And he said something about, I don't remember the comment, but there was a comment about like being in the snow and how cool it was. And I was like, it's not even the best part. He's he's not in the front yet. Like, you can't, you got to be breaking trail to really have fun snow wheeling. Like, snow wheeling, sorry, Luke, everybody has their opinions about it and they love it or they hate it and people don't like being stuck and whatever. But the beauty of snow wheeling is when you are fresh tracks. Like, I think when you're in the front and you're moving, there's like nothing that beats it. I think that's the most fun. So to watch him go to the point where he was going to break trail and fail within a foot.
Yeah.
One, I was like, man, I've been there. And two, after he gave up, I was like, oh man, you're going to miss the best part. Like,
I don't know if that snow was built for him
37s
being able
and
to
heavy.
Do that. Yeah. That was the thing. 'Cause it was very wet. Mm-hmm. So it was very heavy snow, which makes it's
hard.
Pretty tough.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was a slog. You could tell it was a slog. And that is snow wheeling. It just is that way a lot of times.
You don't know what the snow's going to be like.
Yeah. It's such a variable thing, I think. And then the other thing that was really interesting were all like the creek crossings and like different water, things going on. Like, that was really cool to watch. I thought it was awesome. I think I'm excited to see what their next episode is. We'll see. They kind of teased it on there.
They teased it at the end.
I don't know where they're going. This one was easy to figure out. Like, it was pretty obvious what was going to happen. But I have no idea what they're going to do next. I'm interested.
Yeah.
We will see.
Tune in.
Yeah. The topic that we're all talking about on our just like day-to-day conversations,
everyday updates, is
around this same area, which is the Rubicon, and we're going in less than 20 days.
Yeah.
and I actually just talked to my brother today, and he has made some progress, but he and his friends are also way behind.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good. We're not the only ones.
Other Colin just asked if he could have another week today. And we all followed up with how awful our progress is going.
Yeah.
I want you to tell me about your progress. I'm going to tell you the one thing that has stuck me right now, and that is bleeding my brakes. And I can't believe that's the issue, but here I am. New calipers, new lines, all sorts of stuff. I cannot get it. So I have a borrowed product here. I didn't even put the label out. That's perfect.
Good job. Yeah.
To hopefully fix this problem, because I also have another stack of parts that I would like to get done. And I just added one more thing into my list today. So,
oh, good.
Yeah.
The list is getting longer, not shorter, huh?
Yeah. And then someone I know helped me with my fan shroud, and
it didn't go well.
It didn't land. So I got to get it done. Like, no matter what it looks like, I'm going to have it done. I think my suspension will be dialed. So shocks came today.
Mm-hmm. Fancy boys, yeah.
Yep. Big boys, which are not going to help me at all for the Rubicon. In fact, they might hinder me because
I don't know, on the gravel road in and out.
They're going to be amazing on
great,
that. Yeah. Went to a 2.5 shocks. I'm really excited about that. That's going to be an amazing thing. And I'll try to clue in what's going on as we go along. Maybe we'll try to do some sort of content around it. But, and then new springs to go with it, because this is while you're in there moment.
Are you finally breaking down and getting teal springs?
I did.
Wow.
So here's the thing about the teal springs. I wonder if Jeremy listens to this. I asked him, and there's a local guy that is an 80 series guy, and he runs Technique Vehicle Outfitters. Shout out to those guys. Amazing shop, great people, and so damn helpful. I send him a text message, and I'm just like, dude, I have these shocks coming. I've had my spring set up for 7 years in my rig, and they're great. There's nothing wrong with them, except the technology has gotten a lot better. There's more technology available.
Recalls on the
no recalls that I know of. They could have been recalled in Australia only.
The
new tech. Well, who knows about that? They're just getting more complicated. Is the problem?
These springs,
they're making them in all kinds of colors. Which is that's what I'm getting at. Sorry. So I asked him about the change in those springs, and I'm like, dude, are they as good as everybody says? So Dobinson's makes a flexi coil, which is like the standard right now for anybody that's like rock crawling and more than overlanding in a Land Cruiser or
rock landing.
Rock landing. I don't love that term. I like what it means. I don't like the term.
Yeah, that's fair.
So rock landing, sure.
Crawler landing.
Yeah, sure. This is the spring. That's the standard. That's what people are buying. But damn it, if they don't have the worst color ever.
Mm-hmm.
I even like teal as a color, but this is not a good teal.
Isn't it like extra money to get black?
Well, that's where I'm going.
Okay.
So I say to Jeremy, hey, any reason other than the awful color that I should not do this? Right? We go back and forth about the details, and he goes, you know what, man? They offer them in black now and red. I'm like, great. I want black.
So you did red. Oh.
I said, and finally I get to the point where I'm like, listen, you've helped me so much, and I want to help, local business support. So why don't I'll order them from you, get them in black. Great. Not even 12 hours later. Sorry, I was wrong. The Flexies don't come in any color but teal.
So Sean's going to have teal springs.
So I'm going to have teal springs finally.
All right. I mean, you could spray paint them.
I know, but aren't they? I'm worried that they're going to chip off, and then I'm going to have teal crackle springs.
Yeah, it'll be like, I mean, the car's from the 90s. It's going to be like those fancy paint jobs that, you did in your engine bay or your trunk.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day, the crackle paint.
Crackle paint's the jam.
Kind of fits the
I think what I'm going to do, and mark my words, I'm going to put them in without painting them, and I'm going to claim that I will pull them out to paint them soon.
Yeah, okay.
Never going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to.
Never, ever going to happen. Yeah. I will change the color of the vehicle probably before I change the springs again.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so that's done. I think the only thing on my list that I'm not going to get done maybe are radius arm bushings, because I just don't see it happening.
Okay.
So, but that brings me to you.
Uh-oh.
And you have today posed me with a question about wheels that is purely aesthetic. Like, you have no... Speaking of teal springs, your conversation was not about the wheel fitment, not about the availability, not about optimum sizing.
Well, availability is part of it.
Oh, okay. Okay. We didn't talk about that at all today.
Okay.
So it's all about, I like this one. I don't like this one. I really don't like this one because it's only available in black, which maybe is the availability part.
Yes.
Okay.
The availability part is the second gen Colorados are the only Colorados that have a dumb lug pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And so there are, and I knew from the get-go I was going to get bead grip methods again because it's the best middle ground that there is. We've talked about this.
Yeah.
But the problem is because of my lug pattern, for some reason, I'm going to call method out on this because I think it's the stupidest thing where they only have that lug pattern in particular wheel styles and then even further so those particular styles only in particular colors.
Of course.
So it's not like you can pick a 705 and then get
whatever color.
The plethora of color, which is usually only 3 options, but there's no one color, one wheel style.
Oh my God.
And then the other option is one color, one wheel style. There's 2 options. That's it. And that's sucks.
Insane.
It's terrible. It's the worst.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting Toyota wheels because...
Oh, you did? You ended up getting wheels already?
Yes.
Okay.
So I ordered them today. That was the whole thing because I knew I was going to be cutting it close at this point.
Yep.
So I ended up getting Toyota lug pattern, and then it became that whole issue of I'll just run an adapter, no big deal. I can, an inch of poke isn't going to be absolutely horrendous. Turns out the adapter, you can only get 1.5 inch adapters for that lug pattern for some reason. I don't know why. So then it shoots me down yet another rabbit hole of trying to figure out, okay, what to do there. And so I just ended up getting not a 0 offset, a 25, and then with the 1.5 inch spacer, then it's only gonna be a 1/2 inch of poke. So, dialed in the poke a little bit and still have it. Hopefully because I don't know if I've seen them in not 0 offset.
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping that they look
the same,
similar enough rather than just looking awkward, like the Sprinter van version ones or something,
The convex face.
Yeah.
So
ruined my
that's what you should have
day.
done. You should have gotten Sprinter fitment and run adapters.
just ran some 5-inch spacer on it.
So you went with 705s.
705s.
In a different color.
Let's see. Let me double check my work, because that doesn't sound right.
Okay. 705s are what were on the Wagoneer.
No.
Oh, you did not.
Because those are ones that are available
in your pattern.
In my lug pattern. So if I was going to do those, which I also, and we've talked about this before, like when I got them for the Wagoneer, I felt like those were kind of the more retro-y looking wheel, and that's why I picked it for the Wagoneer.
Yeah, absolutely.
This vehicle is not a retro vehicle. It's a fairly new vehicle. So I ended up doing the 707, and I got them in Bahia blue.
Ooh, cool.
For my gray car.
Yeah, because you got a blue car.
So here's the deal, is now I'll have gray wheels on my blue truck, according to Sean.
Yeah, never going to live that down. 707 is the one with like the straight spokes and a lot of convex.
Yeah, it's like the...
or concave, sorry.
It's like the rotiform, the VCEs.
Yeah, I like those. I wanted to get those for the Land Cruiser. I actually looked, so when we might have this conversation on the air, when I refinished my wheels last time, I was going to buy those instead, but in black, because I don't mind black. I thought white would be cool too, though.
That'd be very rally car.
Yeah. And then, man, that spun me into a whole other world of looking at Evo Corsa wheels and T's. That landed me on T's. In fact, the conversation that we were having today, where I was talking about aesthetics versus functionality in a 4-wheel drive wheel, like part of me I just have to stop. Like, I have to stop myself because I think that an off-road wheel can still look pretty good and be functional.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, though, they are not ever my favorite style of wheel. To get my favorite style of wheel usually is a wheel that I would not maybe want to run into anything. And that's so like, I think TEs look really good on 80 series because it's like that 90s JDM thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I could ever run them. I just, it's just like a waste.
Yeah.
There's those, and then there's an off-road Meister that is really good too. But again, it's like,
yeah, I do love and even more so like Laudio drives or something like that, like, because there were some 3-piece off-road truck, big 6-lug pattern wheels that were they had tri-spokes, and they had there were so many cool ones. And on that same thread, the spending a bunch of money on those wheels, potentially rebuilding them also.
Yeah.
And then you're going to run it into a rock. And it's like, but we could make that argument that you made about the rock rings.
You can change the lip.
You can just take the lip off and put a different lip on it.
Yeah, the problem is I'm looking at...
But it's a lot more expensive.
One-piece stuff, like TEs or these Meister S1HC.
S1HC.
Which is, oh my God, they're perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Get them in bronze with the green. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But the first time that I run that thing into a rock, which will happen 6 months into ownership, I don't think I'd be happy.
Yeah.
Although I will say, not cheap, but cheaper than I thought. $4.95 a piece on these, which that's not terrible. Not too bad.
Yeah. I basically if I was going to the Toyota pattern, which I kind of knew I was going to, I had basically narrowed it down to the 703. Which is like the classic look, or the 707. And it just came down to, I would have liked to do the bronze or gold with the silver car. That makes, in my head, that's a good look.
It also works with blue.
But it's just like the 703, again, we're way too in the aesthetics when it comes to this.
Yeah.
The 703 is it's the classic look. Yeah. It's a little basic.
Oh yeah.
So it's just like, I've seen that wheel. I mean, you've got the beadlock version. Luke's got the beadlock version.
Luke's got the non-beadlock version too.
Oh, well, and then Steve has the non-beadlock version. I mean, it's there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
When something's right, you keep doing it, right?
It's not quite like the BBS RS, but it is in that same.
Yeah, it's in that breadth.
Yeah.
So I forewent the bronze color for the blue because for some reason the 707 has only ever been available in black or this Bahia blue, and it's the only wheel that is available in Bahia blue.
Yeah.
Which the 705 may have been Bahia blue at the very start. There
is one of the Sounds Fast guys has them.
Yeah.
And they're cool. They're weird, but they're cool. It's weird piece of trivia that no one gives it any care about, but it was a tire rack exclusive color.
Oh.
So when he bought them, we tried to get him through Method because we're a Method dealer there, and can't buy them. Gotta buy through Tire Rack. Yeah, so Tire Rack has a wholesale division. It was fine, but weird thing.
Huh. Yeah. Well, and so between that and then also just due to, I'll probably hate it when I try and clean them, but the additional spokes and the valve stem location seemed like the valve stem was a little less vulnerable.
Yeah.
There with the spokes right next to it and potentially further out than it itself. Because of our experiences with those Land Cruiser guys and their 706s, trying to avoid that. Not that I ever had an issue with the 705s, but yeah, just one of those stupid things that in my head makes me feel better, even though it probably is no different.
Yeah.
Overall.
I think you might be fine on the depth. So I'm looking at the 707s in like RAV4 fitment, which obviously is way higher offset than you're looking at.
Uh-huh.
And they're maybe not as deep, but it doesn't look bad at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that the style of the wheel still looks like it's concave anyways.
It needs to have that.
And being spaced out, it's probably going to look even more so.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited. It's going to look really good. I don't recall ever seeing a Colorado on those wheels, so I think that might be a good look.
So funny, 4-wheel drive 24/7 callback again.
Yeah.
Their truck that they brought on both the Moab trip and this snow wheeling trip.
Oh, the Tacoma.
Yeah, the Tacoma is gray with 707s and Bahia blue.
Nice.
So
that's it.
Yeah. So it's it's a thing.
Yeah, it's a good looking rig. To go back to that, you mentioned I can't believe they brought that as the camera car. It is on 35s, but still,
are they 35s?
Yeah. There's a spider. Okay. Sorry.
They seem narrow also. So maybe they're I think metric 35.
They might be
a narrow boy.
Yeah, they might be like a 295 or something.
Super wide to me, but
that truck has to be 8,000 pounds. Oh my God, 75 at least. It's going to be a heavy. Yeah, I know those mitts trays are alloy, they're aluminum, but I think with the canopy and all their gear, it's heavy. Yeah. It's got to be as heavy as
3 dudes and their stuff plus the camera gear.
Yeah, that couldn't have been fun.
No.
And that when they were at Moab with that thing, you could tell it was super heavy too, because they got it in a couple of those weird scenarios, and I was like, oh man,
awkward side hilling.
I don't want to be a part of that at all.
Yeah. But speaking of weight, my tire selection, I had to message Alex to get some options. And I sent him a message today, and I was like, well, as disappointing as it is for me to have to say that I'm just going to get KO2s again. I guess I'm just going to get KO2s. But I'm going to get the 6-plies again because, as we spoke via text, they're 10 pounds lighter than a 10-ply, of another option. And I think it was 6 pounds lighter than the 8-ply version.
Got it.
So I'm not towing anything.
Exactly.
I'm not.
Well, they also, I'd have to look it up, I guess, but because they're a larger tire, even that 6-ply version is a relatively high weight. It's not a weight capacity, I guess is what I'm trying to say. They're not super low. I know that some people really stand on the 10-ply tire as being sturdier somehow.
Right.
I don't think they're completely wrong, but I think that their effort is being put in the wrong direction, because if you're puncturing any tire straight through like that, I don't know if there's that big of a difference. And the weight and flex of the tire is worth so much to me.
That was my thought too, was it's with how often, which, we're not going out every weekend, but we are the type that are going out to strictly wheel more than just the overlanding stuff.
Sure.
So, and I absolutely have noticed how when I had the 6-plies on the Wagoneer, or even Mike has them on his Jeep, at higher pressures, how much more bulgy and flexy they are than even the same tire, because you've got the 8-plies at a lower PSI.
There's a big difference.
It makes a good difference in grip.
Yeah. Sidewall puncture difference is the same. There is no difference because the sidewall is the same. It is the outside casing, and I just I bet you it's such a marginal difference on what it is. I think maybe that argument exists in a smaller size, maybe a little more, but it's still the weight and the how stiff that tire is to me. It just turns me off every time. I'm not into that. If you're running a tray and all this crazy stuff, and you got camera gear and 7,500 pounds worth of shit, absolutely.
Yeah.
Get the heavy ones. But if you're not and you're trying to save weight, don't do that.
Yeah,
that's a lot of rotational weight.
Or the argument of people not in this country.
Sure.
If you're international travel, you're going to want a tougher tire for those really out there spaces where a puncture can really ruin everything you've got going on.
If that extra 10% that is frivolous to me going, where we go,
mm-hmm.
if you're traveling through whatever, South America, I want that 10%.
Exactly.
That's fine. I get that. But I don't think there's a lot of people doing a lot of long-term expedition on 37s unless they're under an Earth Cruiser or something like that.
That's also true. Is a lot of those are not even 35s in that type of situation. So it's like 35 is like a cap for the expedition.
Part of that comes down to, like, let's pretend you're in Central America. Like, you're not finding a 37-inch BFG KO2 or anything.
Yeah.
You want a 33 so that a lot of vehicles need it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can just get it.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Not what we're doing.
Nope.
Definitely not the same.
We're in a different part of the world.
Like, I'm relieved that I have multiple people with Toyota pattern 37s going on a trip on the Rubicon. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of thing I'm going with. Like, I can fix that. That's doable. Not ideal, but doable. It's, but yeah, I mean, if we're in America, it's not, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
No.
It's not ideal. You don't want to be looking for one of those tires, but you could figure it out.
Yeah. It's not nearly as difficult.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I think other than that, on the rig prep thing, like you said, it's like daily updates with everybody. Everybody's got something going on. Colin just told me that he got an entire 12-volt setup. So he's got like lithium and solar and controllers and all this stuff. And I wanted to be like, that's not going to help you go rock crawling,
Don't
right?
Don't need that for this trip.
He's still going to do it. So then I told him he should probably bring his golf simulator along because he's going to have enough power for it. So you got that. You have the wheel and tire is just scratching the surface, right?
That's essentially the last stuff to have needed ordering.
Yep.
The rear springs, I don't know if they're gonna make it. I talked to them Tuesday or earlier this week, and they're custom every time. They're ordered. They're built to order. So he said it's a couple weeks for those. So could be the week of that I might be slapping those in, but the bright side of that is that those aren't what's providing the lift.
Okay.
So worst case, I'll just be on the stock leafs with just the shackle.
Okay, yeah.
In the back, and then I can swap the leaves after the fact. But the front stuff is here, other than tie rod ends. Those will be here Friday. So
is it
this week.
An upgraded tie rod end of some kind?
Yeah, it's apparently a pretty heavy weak point with the Colorados, with the larger tires.
Yeah.
So it's like a sleeved.
Got it.
So it like runs a sleeve up the rod past the threads so that it stiffens the whole steering rod, and it's a Heim joint, so it should help with the flexi bits.
Nice.
It's here. The stupid AEV flares, those are here. So I get to cut my truck up.
Cool.
It's just it's going to be finding the time.
Yeah, what are you going camping this weekend again?
No, I got to go to the beach for a birthday.
Oh.
Yeah, so
darn.
Yeah, so I won't be working on it. And then next weekend is Father's Day, and I'm probably going to have to do something with my dad.
Oh.
So yeah, we're going to be...
You know what you should do? Is bring him down to the shop.
Shop day?
And have a shop day with him. Just like, hey, Dad, I'm going to do this side. You do that side.
Ooh.
Happy Father's Day.
Yeah. I don't know.
Not for you.
I don't know if I could. I don't know if it's that I wouldn't trust it or. Yeah, I don't know. He's not.
Maybe he can hold the flashlight for you.
Have a come first full circle.
Full circle.
Yeah. Fucking hold that thing still.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
That's. I'm just. Yeah. I feel like my list is not that long. It's just daunting.
Yeah.
I'm just in a spot where I'm like,
with you.
Oh my God. And now I've got a couple I got to get started on this.
Yes.
So once I can get through a couple, and then I might have to do a work thing before we go. And now I'm concerned that I'm cutting out 2 or 3 days of last minute prep.
Right before. Yeah.
And instead of doing the prep, I'm going to have to test everything basically. So we'll see. That might actually be a blessing in disguise. I don't know. But luckily I don't have anything to do this weekend. And the